All right, we're live.
Everybody knew it.
Our invocation is going to be given today by past President Sean. Come on, Sean. Thank you.
Thank you, President-elect Tim. Good afternoon, everybody. I'd ask that you bow your heads and join me in a moment of prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day and this opportunity to gather freely. We thank you for our friends and this opportunity for fellowship, the hands that prepared the food that we are enjoying. We ask that you bless all that are here and all that who could not be with us for whatever reason. We ask that you bless this meal to our fellowship and us to your service through and for Rotary. And all this we ask, amen.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you very much. Joe Eberly. Joe, I didn't see when I came in. Are you here?
Yeah.
Very good. Would you lead us in the pledge?
Yes, let's pledge allegiance to our great nation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, please be seated. So we got a little bit of business to do before we introduce the battalion chief, who's going to give us a great message today. Why don't we start with some pop-ups? I know past President Mike Crumpler has a pop-up for us. Did I get you at a bad time? Thank you. You're going to tell us a little bit about reading right from the start.
Yeah,
Come on up.
thank you, President-elect Jim. It won't be long now.
Won't be long.
Won't be long
Clock
now.
is ticking.
And so we're really proud of you and the leadership in the club. But we have a last Rotary project of the year. It's I put some sign-up sheets on your tables. We're going to be over on the Landing Boulevard, right near Episcopal at the story office building, putting together these packets for the young children in the hospital, newborn children in our hospital. And it's called Rewrite from the Start and the Safe Sleep Project. So I made an announcement before, but we now have a date and a time.
Which
June
is?
22nd, 9:30 to 12:30. Take about 3 hours to put together 300 to 350 of these packages. So it'll be production line effort, and we really appreciate your help with this, and it's for a very good cause. Thank you.
Hey, Mike, before you go, tell us a minute, what's inside of it? What's in it?
Okay. This, I left the book out, I apologize, that one. This one has a door hanger. It's with instructions about how to place the babies on their backs. When we were growing up as babies, which all of us did, we were placed on our stomachs. And so now the conventional medical wisdom is that you place the babies on their backs. And this tells the mothers they can put this shirt on the babies, newborn babies, and this lets the mothers know that they should put this side up. And then
And then there's also a book involved?
yeah, there was a book whereby the book is in the packets as well, and that's a baby book for all the newborn babies, for their mothers to start reading to the newborn babies. And there's a very I would say heartfelt message that our past president, Ike Sherlock, children were born in St. Vincent's, the two boys, and their sons received these baby books from our Rotary Club.
Cool.
So that was many years ago. So again, that's what your efforts are doing.
Let's recognize Jim.
Please try that.
No.
Here, let me put it in my arm.
Thank you. We got the other pop-ups today. Got to be some good things happening. Past President Ed Lombard.
Don't forget, I have 3 more meetings. I'm gonna be raising, food, non-perishables for 3 bowls of rice. Ed Perez had come through a couple months ago. He reached out to me recently. You know, a lot of the young mothers and families on the west side are really struggling with inflation and food costs. So get with me the next couple of weeks. We do Publix gift cards and other things that you don't want to bring with soup and stuff. So appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Ed. You know, it won't be long before you'll start winning the football pools again. So we're just a few short weeks away from football season. And Ed Lombard taking all our money every week.
But to my credit, Patty does have a copy of my things.
There's an audit trail. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, we got any more pop-ups today? Any good news we want to share? Service projects. All right. Past President Kathy Gould, how about the family of Rotary? We have a few birthdays this month.
We have a few. Thank you, President-elect Tim. Birthdays, this week, June 1st was William Milne. June 6th is past President Sean Asmuth. And June 7th is Mark Eldridge. Is there anything from the audience to report for Family of Rotary? All right. Mike.
Not off the hook yet. You got it. I just wanted to mention that, past President Scott's Kimberly's funeral, we were at his funeral, and it was a warm and wonderful celebration of Scott. Just keep Scott and his family in your prayers.
Thanks, Mike. All right, I'm gonna try and inject some humor since there's no more news. Tim decided to tie the knot with his longtime girlfriend. One evening after the honeymoon, he was organizing his golfing equipment. His wife was standing nearby watching him. After a long period of silence, she finally spoke. Tim, I've been thinking, now that we're married, maybe it's time you quit golfing. You spend so much time on the course, you could probably get a good price for your clubs. Tim suddenly got a horrified look on his face and she said, honey, what's wrong? For a minute there, you were beginning to sound like my ex-wife. Ex-wife, she said. I didn't know you were married before. And he said, I wasn't. And that
Pretty good.
That was, made me
We
think.
got a chuckle out of Joe Springer. All right, it's time to give away some money. Now, we've been doing this for, I don't know, 17 years, and we haven't had a winner. Y'all gotta get used to my humor. We have not been doing this for 17 years. It just seems like 17 years. Y'all know Lee Davis?
Yeah.
She pulled my name out of a hat a week ago. And that was wonderful. We've got how much now?
We've got just a little bit over $3,400, and
All right.
remember, President-elect Tim, half of it goes to our group for new services. The other half is the one for you guys, and we're gonna do a couple drawings today because we've got 26 cards left.
All right.
And the Queen is in here, so let's.
Well, I wanna make sure the queen is in there, right?
She's in there. So.
Who would you like to select?
I wanna ask our guest speaker
Speaker.
today.
The battalion chief?
Yes, sir.
Think we can trust-
Grab one of these tickets, and see if we have a winner. All right. The last four digits are 5598.
Right around my round. Just give the money to Ed Lombard. It don't matter.
Draw the card.
But Tim, I have picked 5 cards that haven't got.
Yeah. Wait. You'll see what's gonna happen.
As Lee says, the lady's waiting for me.
All right, we'll see.
Oh.
Oh. I'm gonna do another one?
Let's do another. Last four digits, 5644. 5644.
Charlie, come on, man. Let's win some money today.
Nine.
9 o'clock.
Want to do it one more time?
Sure.
I'm feeling low. Doing one more time.
Five, 6, 4, 2.
5642. Mary, one more chance. 30 or close.
Not even close.
Okay, we'll try it next week.
All right, everybody, I trust Lee Davis, she's trustworthy. I'm gonna make sure, when I'm president, there's actually a queen in there. I've never seen it. I don't know whether there's a queen in there or not.
Still-
All right, well, I trust you now. All right, you're very welcome. Thank you for doing that. It's time to introduce our our visiting Rotarians. Carter Rosenblum is going to do that for us. Carter, would you mind introducing our guest and any visiting Rotarians? Come on up.
I can probably do it right here.
All right.
We have one visiting Rotarian today, Assistant District Governor Jerry Kelly.
Hey, Jerry. That's it. All right, everybody.
Well, does anybody else have any visitors with them that we're on the list?
Look like it. Very good, very good. All right, it's my pleasure at this time to introduce our speaker for this afternoon. Today, we have the privilege of hosting Dr. Charles E. Moreland, a Jacksonville native and a 33-year veteran of Jacksonville Fire and Rescue. Dr. Moreland joined JFRD at 18 years of age and has held every civil service position from firefighter to battalion chief. His leadership earned him historic appointments, including Division Chief of Rescue and Director, Fire Chief, making him the youngest and one of the first minorities in these roles. Dr. Moreland holds bachelor's degrees from Edward Waters University and Barry University, a master's degree in public administration, and a doctorate of education from Nova Southeastern University. A 2008 Leadership Jacksonville alum, he serves as Director of Community and International Affairs and led the city's COVID-19 response. Recently, he was appointed Deputy Chief Administrative Officer before returning to JFRD as Battalion Chief. So join me in a very warm West Jacks Rotary welcome for Dr. Charles E. Moreland.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I will say it is my honor to be here. Felt welcome as soon as I walked in, and I saw a lot of people that I know. And that made it even better to kind of get reunited with some folks that I had not seen for a while. Again, my name is Charles Moreland. I've been fortunate enough to serve as a firefighter for 33 years in the city of Jacksonville, and fortunate enough to serve in city government under Mayor Curry as his Director of Community Affairs. And then I went on to become the Deputy CAO for the city of Jacksonville his last couple of years while he was in office. So I've had a wide variety of experiences, being in the fire department, being the fire chief at one point under Mayor Payton, being the division chief of rescue under Mayor Payton, and then now coming back full circle, back to the department in my civil service role as battalion chief. And I must say that it's kind of bittersweet, and I'm really happy to be here, but it's bittersweet because I'm retiring January 3rd of 2025. My days are numbered, as they say. I have about 213 days left.
Who's counting?
And who's counting? Now, they will say this, everybody that I talk to who has retired from either JSO or JFRD say, listen, once you get on the drop, the deferred retirement option plan, you know, you got 5 years to be on it. You can leave anytime in that 5 years. But if you stay to 5 years, when you get into the last year, that's when you start to realize how those days, those 365 days are very short. It goes by really, really fast. Here we are, almost 6 months into the year, and you know, a couple of holidays and things of that nature, my tour duty will be over. So it is truly my honor to be here with you. The state of the Fire and Rescue Department under the leadership of Keith Powers, our current Director Fire Chief, is in a wonderful place. We're doing extremely well, doing what we do best, and that's taking care of the people who we have the honor and privilege of serving. And the beauty about being a firefighter is that you meet people of all walks of life. You never go to someone's house under situations where, they just want you to come over for some cookies, brownies, or ice cream, or any of that. Typically, they're in a situation where they need some interventions. They need for you to do your job that you're trained to do. And so we pride ourselves in providing the best services that we possibly can for the community in which we get the honor of serving each and every day. Something that many people may not know is that the fire department was established in 1886. And the interesting part about that, the budget for the fire department in 1886 was $19,000. Yeah, so we spin the dial up, let's go to year 2022. Here we are now. Our fire department budget is roughly around $356 million. And we have close to 1,800 people on the job now. Now, I came on the job December 17th, 1990. And when I came on the job 33 years ago, we had around 700 to 800 people on the job. So that number has, grown over the years. Our fire department has become more progressive over the years. And if I know we all recall September 11, 2001, when 9/11 happened, it changed the way fire departments, the public safety officials and others really work in that space. In fact, I was one of 7 and privileged to go to the World Trade Center as well as to the Pentagon a few days or so after the event took place. Chief Ray Alford at the time was the fire chief, and I'll never forget him and Chief Lauren Moss, who was the operations chief at the time, gave me a call and asked would I be willing, did I want to go to the World Trade Center or to the Pentagon. And as a young man, at that time, I was a young lieutenant on the hazardous materials team. That's where I started my career, on the hazmat team. And obviously I said yes. And I'm so happy that I did that. Those are moments and times that you go and you talk to the younger generation of firefighters about. They have no understanding of all the things back then to now. So being able to share the experiences that I gained from that time and to see how much progress we have made in this fire department since then. Just imagine all the federal grants and things of that nature that just opened doors for us. Department of Homeland Security was formed. All sorts of things started to happen. Remember, I told you I started my career on the hazardous materials team. We only had one hazmat team when September 11, 2001 occurred. After that took place, we put another hazmat team in on the other side of the water at station 21 off of Powers Avenue. Anybody know where that's? That fire station on Powers Avenue right there. That's our second hazardous materials team. So we have them where it's split both sides of the water. So we have progressed to the point of having urban search and rescue teams here in Jacksonville. Now, I'm sure you oftentimes hear when incidents happen in other places, even as far out as Texas, they reach out, through our state emergency operations system for Jacksonville to deploy resources there. When I tell you, you have one of the best fire and rescue departments in the country, I know that it sounds a little bit biased because I spent all of these years here, but I can tell you, as I move around the state and meet people all over the place, I really truly believe we are one of the best fire and rescue departments in the country, and you can certainly be proud of that. So a few things that I want to point out to you before, I sit down is this. One, we're in hurricane season now. June 1 through November the 30th, it's hurricane season. And so it's very important, for all of us to make sure that we're prepared, make sure that we have everything in order with our family, our things are in place. So in the event we have an incident here in Jacksonville, our people, our folks that are in our community are taken care of. And the reason I bring that up, as you know, the National Weather Service just recently said that we're going to have an active hurricane season. And so I'll give you these numbers. That named storms between 17 and 25, hurricanes between 8 and 13, major hurricanes between 4 and 7. So it's important that we all get prepared now. So I have to look at myself first. Before I can ask anybody else to do anything, I always have to take it inside first. And I have. I started to collect bottled water, go into the Publix or wherever you shop to get, water. Make sure you have batteries, make sure you have all the things in which you need, canned good items, all of that stuff. Make sure you know where all your personal documents at in case you have to get gone at any point. Make sure you keep your fuel levels at the right, level. You want to make sure you stay pretty full, half to 3/4, so that if you did have to leave, you got enough to get your way from a bad space. So all of those things are now's the time to start getting to those good habits, and to make sure that we're ready. The other thing is the emergency preparedness and response guide. You should have one at your table. That is a great resource. That is a great resource to have. And oh, by the way, our emergency management team, we are accredited. We're one of the few accredited emergency management preparedness divisions in the country. And so that pamphlet right there, that guide rather, is a very good one for you to have. It has apps. If anybody is technologically savvy, make sure that you download the app. It tells you all the different things you need to take a look at to see if you have, or if you don't, go and get. But please do us all a favor. Don't wait till the last minute to try to do all of the things that you should be doing now. And I can't stress that enough. I have seen what it looks like when things get a little bit uncomfortable here and folks have to start reacting, and things don't always, it could go better, put it that way, for lack of better words, it could go better. So it's very important that we get ahead of it now. Also, take advantage of the tax-free holiday for hurricane supplies. That's happening now, June 1st through June 14th. And then there'll be another second opportunity for you to do the same thing, August the 24th through September the 6th. And the reason why I bring those two up is because we typically start seeing the tropics start to pick up during the August timeline. That's when we start to see our activity start to get a little bit more intense out there in the Gulf and others. So we want to make sure that we stay ahead of all of that. So make sure that if you don't have something, you take full advantage of the opportunities to have a tax-free holiday at these different shops, Home Depot and others that are doing it. So a couple more things I want to mention, and you may not know this, but it's important to share because this is your fire department, your fire and rescue department. Do anybody know the percentage of EMS calls that we go on a year? Oh, let's back up a little bit. How many calls do you believe that fire and rescue go, whether it's EMS fire calls, how many do you believe we go on a year, calendar year, January through December? 25,000.
20,000. 114.
All right, so I got a 25,000, I got 114. So let me give you this, in 2023, percentage of calls for EMS, emergency medical services, because I know we're all healthy in here, but none of us leave home without taking whatever medical issues we have with us. We don't leave it at the door. We take medicines to support it, but we don't leave it. So wherever we go, we take whatever we have challenge with us, hypertension, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, whatever, asthma, whatever it might be, we take it with us. 177,236 calls for EMS services.
Wow.
81.39% of all calls that we go on are EMS.
Did not know.
81.39% of all calls we go on are EMS. And now all those people that we go to don't necessarily get transported to the hospital. Some of them don't need JFRD to take them to the emergency room. But out of those, over 93,144 are transported to the hospital. Yeah.
That's a lot.
So we stay pretty busy when you look at it from providing a service. And emergency medical services is a big part of that. Now, obviously, we get our fires and you see those on TV. There was one yesterday that you saw that one of our young firefighters, lieutenant on the job, had his ear burned. The intense heat in those fires can do that, even with the appropriate wearing of the gear. You know, that is the inherent hazard that we face as firefighters going into burning structures, whether it's a house fire or whether it's a apartment fire or big building fire. That's a part of the job. And thankfully, he's gonna be fine. He's a little singed ears, but he'll be fine. A little ointments and things of that nature, and it'll heal up fine, and he'll be continuing to do what he loves to do, and that is protect you and I. Another thing that we oftentimes focus our attention on, and as I wrap up, is response times and getting out of the station. You know, if the alarm goes off, you call 911. That call goes to our primary dispatch point, and then it gets transferred over to JFRD. Our primary PSAP is what we call it, is JSO. So all your calls funnel through JSO. You call 911 right now, you're gonna get a JSO dispatcher. And then what you say, I have a medical emergency, and they're gonna transfer you over. There's a direct link between fire and police to get you to us. Once you get to us, we get all this information and we dispatch. We dispatch while you're on the phone with us. We don't wait to hang up and then dispatch. While you're talking, there's an intaker and there's a dispatcher, and all of that stuff is getting done simultaneously. And they're getting in, the guys and ladies are at the fire station getting en route to your call. So our turnout time, this is what I'm very proud of, is that our turnout time is less than a minute.
Wow.
So you call 911 and you see all of this stuff happening, and you're like, I just need some help. That help is on the way. That help is on, there is no delay in getting that help to you. It's going. Now, the dispatchers are getting additional information so that they can update the men and women that are responding, because as we have gotten better, everything that we have now is through technology. We have laptops on every one of our frontline units. So anything that is being fed through what we call our CAD system, it automatically goes to their laptops in their fire engine, ladder trucks, rescue units, brush trucks, hazmat units, all of that. So there's not a delay in getting the response to you. And what's interesting, because we are a busy outfit and we do more than 25,000 calls a year, a lot of our units are outside. They're already on the road. So when a call comes in, if they're riding down Roosevelt Boulevard and they have a call that gets hit here, no matter what station they're at, guess what's gonna happen? It's gonna ping them, that unit, to come right here. Yeah. So we have a very robust system in JFRD. You should be very proud of your public safety units, and they do an outstanding job. I will leave you with this. Again, I thank you for the privilege of being here to come to this beautiful space to have this conversation with wonderful people in this room. But if I could just leave you with one thing, is that always be prepared. You know, a lot of times we take things for granted, you know, and we don't prepare for things that could potentially come. We've been very fortunate in the city of Jacksonville not to get hit. We got Irma, we got Matthew, we saw a lot of flooding. You know, we've done some mitigation work to try to help us in that respect. But there are always going to be vulnerabilities that we have as a city. There's always going to be risk. There's always going to be hazards. But the number one thing that we need from everybody with the risk, hazards, and vulnerability is for people to respond to the officials when they start pushing information out. You know, so don't get brain lazy with that, so to speak. Don't say, oh, I got, you know, if we start communicating to you about something that is important, believe me, there is a room full of people that are coming together to bring trust and making very intentional decisions on what we need to communicate to the public. That is very, very, very important. There is a ordinance code, and it's called the SEPPC, Security Emergency Preparedness Council. That council meets regularly, at least 2 or 3 times out of the year. But prior to hurricane season, all of those individuals are part of that planning council, whether it's JSO, JEA, whether it's the Coast Guard, whether it's hospitals, you name it, they all come together. We had this meeting on May 10th at the Prime Osborne Convention Center. Everybody comes together for the purpose of ensuring that we're prepared and ready to go. So when we have that brain trust in the room at our Emergency Operations Center, and you see Mayor Deegan get on that podium and she start giving direction or suggestion, the only thing that I ask that everybody does is take it to heart. Because there is a point that your emergency responders will not be able to get to you depending on the situation. There's those points, and we don't want any of our citizens to be in that situation. So thank you for the opportunity to come. It's been my pleasure to be here, and I'll have, if you got any questions, I'll be happy.
I'm sure we're gonna have some. Would you mind taking?
Yeah, I
any
have no
questions?
problem with that. Yeah.
All right.
Start off right here with me. Why is it whenever we see an ambulance, a JFRD ambulance looking response, there's a fire truck in front of it or a fire truck behind it? Do
So-
they have to go in pairs?
Yeah, you want to have a dual response with that. That's a very good question. Why do you see a fire engine going with a rescue unit on an emergency medical service call? Many times it's because the fire engine is usually going to be at the fire station. That rescue unit is going to be at hospitals. And so if a 911 call came in right now and Rescue 23, which sits on Artiga Boulevard right up the street, is at St. Vincent's Hospital, but that fire engine is sitting right there in the station, you want something to get to you as quick as you possibly can. You wouldn't want to have to wait for that rescue unit to get from St. Vincent's Riverside all the way here. You want to get that engine here. Now, all of our personnel, engines, ladders, rescue units are advanced life support units, meaning that we have a paramedic, at least one paramedic on each of our apparatus. We are a fully advanced life support department. So if that fire engine gets here before that rescue unit does, they can start an IV, they can defibrillate you, they can do CPR, they can give you drugs, they can do all of that. And that rescue unit who has the advanced capabilities to do more, once they get the patient, then they can continue that on to the hospital.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then the other part of it, I'll mention this, thank you. The other part of it is why it's important is because sometimes we have situations that we need the staffing. We need the resources there, the people to help us move people. So if we got somebody on the 5th floor of a condo and the elevators are not working and we got to get them down, you're gonna need more than 2 people to make that happen. So it's easier to have the resources available to us now than to have to call for them later.
Thank you.
Thank you. I've been told that the new lithium batteries
the National Fire Protection Association, FPA, are working through. You'll see a lot of white papers and everything related to how do you deal with lithium batteries. You know, we have what we call Metal X, lithium extinguishers and things of that nature to help with all of that. But they get very, very hot. So you may not be able to get them out with just copious amounts of water. You might, but it's a process. An extinguisher will probably be the better option with that. But I would say stay tuned because that's an ever evolving area. If you talk to our fire prevention, our fire marshal and others, it's kind of like all over the place right now. Yeah. Not a definitive answer for you because I don't think he can provide that. We're working through trying to see what actually works for us to do it. We have a significant amount of extinguishers on our apparatus to be able to work through that.
Thank you for coming to speak.
Yes, sir.
Chief, synthetic
fentanyl, I believe is what they call it, and supposedly they have something called Narcan. But supposedly the Narcan is not effective against some of the synthetic fentanyl. How is that affecting our fire department?
So fortunately, there's been a lot of, a very good question. There's been a lot of, emphasis placed on the fentanyl issue that communities all over have been experiencing. And if you start mixing stuff with the fentanyl, it makes it hard for the drug that has the ability to reverse that to work. We have experienced some of that, but we've also had a lot of success with reversing fentanyl overdoses in the city of Jacksonville. So there's a large group, a lot of groups that are out there that are doing a lot of education, dealing with the people that have those types of cravings and urges and issues. So we have seen a decrease in the number of fentanyl related calls that we've been going on. Now, that's not to say that it will have its peaks and valleys, so to speak, because some things it feels like, they go through seasons where everything is calm and all of a sudden it starts to picking back up. I will tell you from the fire department standpoint, we're prepared. We carry Narcan. We've been carrying Narcan. Even my days being on the rescue unit and out there in the fire station, we've always carried Narcan, and we have the ability to deal with it. But it is a challenge. It is a challenge. But you right now, I don't see that it being a primary as much as it was like in 2021, 22. Yes.
How much is the fact that a lot of people don't have access to insurance or primary medical care? How does that affect how often you get a call for emergency?
That's a very good question, and I love data. So I ask our guys to provide me data. So when you think about the top hospitals, the big ones that you hear about all the time, Mayo, Baptist, St. Vincent's, UF Health, and all of that. So I'm gonna go from these five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Baptist, Maine in 2020, in April of 24, we transported 758 people to that hospital, Baptist, Maine downtown. Memorial, right there on University Boulevard, we transported 962 in April. St. Vincent's, Riverside, we transported 735 in April. UF Health, 8th Street, 1,412. So there is a segment of the community all over this city that struggle with having adequate levels of health insurance. And, no hospital can, not accept people who have an emergency to their facility. And we transport people to the hospital no matter what their situation is. They have a medical issue, we're gonna take them to the hospital, and we're gonna do everything we can to save their life. So, but there is a segment in the community all over the 840 square miles of the city that don't have adequate health insurance, and so reimbursements, we get reimbursed through Medicaid, Medicare, private insurance, and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't have any insurance, what happens is it becomes a write-off. So when I was a chief of rescue under Mayor Payton, we probably was writing off 30–40%. Yeah. So that is always a challenge. And that's been many years ago since Mayor Payton was the mayor, but I can tell you that number, percentage-wise, usually stays right around that. Now, we've tried to do other things to try to augment and support and, get more reimbursement, but some of that is really challenging.
First of all, thanks for coming, and I want to say that I think we probably have one of the best systems in the United States. I know we were a forefront leader in the 9/11 system here, and was a lot of the technology was developed along with our university hospital back then when we had level 1 trauma put in,
Yes.
which was a combined effort of the hospital and fire and rescue. So having said that, I'm very proud of you guys. I really am. I have one minor complaint.
Okay.
About once a year, this officer, one of your, I don't know whether it's from the guys from the fire department, he comes by our building. comes in there, checks, make sure the emergency lights, this is an owner occupied building. Make sure that the emergency lights will work and that our fire extinguisher has a tag on it. That's fine. I really like that. But what I don't like, and we pay a lot of taxes on our building. We get a bill for that guy walking in for about 5 minutes, maybe. Unless our fire extinguisher is out of date, which I never let it go out of date because I know about when he's coming in. It's $75. I mean, we pay real estate tax, yet we get the surcharge to have this guy come in and check things. I'm happy he comes in and checks all the other public spaces that we occupy. But why do we pay on top of our real estate taxes and all the taxes we pay, the $75 fee to have this guy walk in when we're paying tax?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I will say to you, that's in fire prevention. For people who don't know, that's the fire prevention area that has to go out. It's required by the state. Florida statute requires them to go and inspect buildings, checking for sprinkler system, checking for fire extinguishers and all of the things like that. And kudos to you to always having things in order. But that 5 minutes that he's spending with you, I'm sure when he or she goes somewhere else, the individuals that are not as astute to make sure things are right, they're spending a lot more time in that space with them. But that's a fee that has always sort of been a part of the fee system within the city for the resource. It's no different in rescue transports, we charge for your insurance when we transport people to the hospital. So it's a part of that Schedule A, what they call it in City Hall, Schedule A fee, that is there for inspections. And all it does is ensuring that, that process was carried out like it needs to. Now, the 5 minutes, I totally get it. It doesn't seem like, for 5 minutes, $75. Unfortunately, I know that does exist. I will say this, we have a fire prevention fire marshal by the name of Kevin Jones. He's been in that space for probably about 28 to 30 years. If you are running into any sort of issue and need somebody to have a conversation with, I will point you to him because he's very well versed in that area. We call him like the guy that is like the Bible. He knows the front end and the back end of that Florida statutes related to fire prevention activities. So I don't have a really good answer for you, but I do know that exists in some spaces all over. Yeah.
Thank you for coming today, sir. I have a couple of questions. First of all, as a woman, how many women are with the JFRD? And the reason I say that, because I do work right next door to your station here on Ortega, right, just a couple blocks. And there's a woman there that drives that big old giant truck, and when they're coming back, she pulls up and she can whip that thing in all the way like in 10 seconds.
Yeah, you know her name? Her name is Regina Seeger.
Okay.
She's been there for a while.
She's a badass.
Yeah. Yes.
And they're out there flipping those tires when they're
Yes.
resting. So kudos to her. And just out of curiosity, how many women do you
So
have?
I don't have the number off the top of my head, but there's well over a couple hundred women on the job now, somewhere in there. It is a pretty nice, diverse group of people that we have on the fire department today. And we oftentimes really work hard at trying to make sure we have a diverse population in the fire and rescue department. Some of that is a little bit challenging now because of the market. We're getting younger in the department as people like me are phasing out. We're getting younger. And so it's been challenging to continue to have a very robust recruit process in the department, but we're pushing it. So if you know anybody that has a desire to be a firefighter on this job, male, female, whomever, that has a desire, and make sure that they do that.
And then on a different note, I think everybody was curious. Kudos to JFRD for the apartment building that burnt down downtown. That was horrible. What happened?
So I can give you the 30,000 feet level of how the fire, how stuff burns. The building still has work to be done on the inside of that structure downtown there. And the way things are being built now, you got this void right here in the middle that presents so much challenged with oxygen, and all the fire need is oxygen to breathe, right? And so it doesn't take long for things to start to expanding, and going out, especially if you got the source, and the source is all of the wood that's those structures have. So it doesn't take long to go. And the other part of it is when you have staircases and other areas that are not 100% fully fleshed out, you know, it makes it challenging. The standpipe systems and all of those things are not operable just yet because it's still in the process of going through all of the, you know, the certifications for all of the stuff to get done. And then you have an unforeseen situation like that. It makes it extremely challenging for our firefighters to kind of get through all of that. Fortunately, we did not have a loss of life or an injury associated with it. And all you saw was those $1 million ladders that you saw, 4 of them up on each side of that building spraying water in. And and you could tell that it was starting to be compromised because you start seeing the building bowing a little bit. And you're thinking about thousands and thousands of gallons of water trying to control it because of all the void spaces that were in that building. Pretty challenging to get through, but the men and women did a nice job trying to solve it. And I know they didn't save it, but they did a nice job trying to manage that situation. I'll wrap up with this. Thank you for speaking about, being leaders in the fire and EMS industry. 1977, we started hazmat right here in the city of Jacksonville. 1968, through consolidation, we started the first EMS transport unit right here in Jacksonville. So we got a lot of history, a lot of stuff to be proud of in our fire and rescue department. Thank you.
I got a little gift for the chief. I want to embarrass him for a minute. He mentioned the drop.
Yes.
And you all probably know that there is a deferred retirement option program for our retirees. They do about 20 years. And then they have 5 years where we'll calculate their retirement benefit and we'll invest it for them so that when they leave 5 years later, they got a little bit of a nest egg they can take with them. So I see, obviously, Police and Fire Pension Fund, I'm paying this man in a little bit. We see 99% of our retirees when they enter the drop. So we see them about 5 years before they retire, because in the back end, it's kind of done, right? And so I had my staff design a small photo studio. If you ever come to my office, I'll take you in the back hall. And you'll see a small studio with a big badge. Imagine there's a big badge behind you. A couple of flags on either side, and some flowers. And when men and women enter the drop, we take a snapshot of them. It's kind of the day they're retiring, because they kind of feel like they're retiring that day, even though it's 5 years early. Now in front of them is a video monitor. And the video monitor has pictures of all of their colleagues flashing before their eyes. So while they're getting their picture taken, they're looking at folks that have been standing in front of that badge over the years. One of the pictures that we get the best response to is this man's picture. Everybody knows the chief, and they love this guy. I'm gonna say one more thing about him that's embarrassing. You don't have to answer this. You don't have to answer this, but it means a lot to me. I've been in government a long time. There are very few people that can get to the highest echelons of government and work effectively from administration to administration. Republican, Democrat, new, old, male, female, black, white, it don't matter. This man is that well respected. It don't matter who's in the mayor's office, they want Chief Moreland on their team. Join me one more time in thanking this fine public servant for accepting my invitation and coming here and talking about it. All right, this has been a great day. Please take your seat. I want to remind you that on the 26th of June, from 6 to 8 p.m. right here at Timaquana is the President's Party. It's going to be a good time, 6 to 8 p.m. here. There will be no lunch meeting on June 26th. Be sure to RSVP on DACDB for that event. Next week, we're going to have Alan Bliss from the Jacksonville Historical Society. And before we go, I want to thank our greeter. And join me in thanking these guys. Carl Dawson, did you greet today?
No.
Well, then we don't care about you. Who greeted today? Did anybody greet? I greeted for a minute. Where's Tom at? Tom is a ghost. All right, well, let's thank Tom anyway. I affectionately call my producer, Joe Springer, the maestro. Let's thank Joe for his service. And obviously, one more time for the battalion chief, Dr. Charles Moreland. All right, before we go, Alberta Hips is going to lead us in the four-way test of the things that we think, say, and do. Alberta.
First,
This is the truth.
second,
It is fair to all concerned.
third,
Will build goodwill and better friendships.
and fourth.
Will be beneficial to all concerned.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye now.
Great job, man. Small note.
Judy. Hello, sweetheart.
I thoroughly enjoyed that presentation.
All right, I need to get some pictures. Can we take, Kevin? Do we use your camera or somebody else's camera?
Normally, it is President Sean. If she's leaving, then I will.